Julian, stretching your fingers.
Yeah, you started the today talking about this difference between the growing up and waking up. Um, Today I was listening to an audio that an exchange we had like a month ago, where I was describing you my um this irritability and moodiness that happens to me. Maybe I don't know. It happens quite often. And sometimes it's really like I'm really irritable, and sometimes it's just uncomfortable. And it's, I would say, I don't know, 40% of the days. So it's quite a lot. And um, I was telling you something about, well, maybe it's something that I have to work on, maybe from my childhood. And you like very directly pointed, no, it's the choice. It's it's that you're choosing to have the assumption that you're a separate um, entity with will and something like that, no? And I've heard you say those things quite a few times, but it for some reason I felt the need of going and listening back at it again and like really it's almost as if like it's like wait, is he really saying what he's saying? Like it's what you're saying, it's too literal. It's too radical. Like um it's I don't get it because it's how can they not be um I mean, I notice also the kind of clinging, like I was thinking like I hate it when someone's better than me, like in anything, like or maybe it happens in music or and I love this entity that like I'd hate to not be better than others in a sense of I I don't know how to say it, but it's this thing of the radicalness, like how can I be yet yet not be anything specific, definable. It's as if that that seems very literal is too literal and it's slow. I slowly um like job by job I start getting it more, but or now that you were talking of Roberto, um there's one thing I remember he said. Well, I don't remember exactly the words, but it was something like, "How how can you understand? It's impossible to understand. How can you understand that you don't exist? You, like the separate I, not the ego." I think he was referring to. How can Julian understand that he doesn't exist? It's impossible. Something like that. I remember. Um, so I guess it's something around that.
Yeah, in that specific sense, the solution is to realize you're not Julian.
Yeah, I guess.
Literally true.
Then things can get refined, as in, but you could, in words, you could say, well, I'm also Julian, or Julian's a part of me, and that language kind of works. Um, but it's as a metaphor. If I say, okay, I am, let's assume as a metaphor, what I am is this body. How much of my hand is the essence of what I am? I can lose my hand and I will still be completely 100% here without a hand. So then the hand isn't essential to what I am. It's a part of me. So now, as a metaphor, your true self, using this as a metaphor, Julian is the hand. The whole of the hand, the whole of Julian can go and you will still remain.
Yeah, I understand it.
You understand it conceptually, but the
I don't
that
see
can
it
be
fully.
that can be known experientially. And there's ways in which that process can be done, which one the more direct way is self-inquiry, where that becomes more and more and more and more clear because you disidentify with more and more and more of what you thought Julian is. And so when you're activated around comparing with other musicians and um, what's happening there is the belief you are choosing to believe that what you are is essentially tied to this idea of Julian. There's something essential. There's something core, and so it becomes a big deal. The problems of Julian, the limitations of Julian, become a big deal, and there's a lot at stake. If you were a better guitarist compared to another, then the whole of life, the whole of you, the whole of everything would be so much better. And so there's a lot at stake because there's a lot invested in an idea, and it's all backed by I am that. So that's why self-inquiry goes at the core of that. You can work on kind of the growing up and the psychology around that to kind of clear things up, but it doesn't solve it. And I suspect that when we had that exchange, I pointed to, no, you're just attached to the belief because you've already done so much work, and you've kind of hit a roof or a ceiling, or you can't keep going because right now it's no longer the issue you're working with is a consequence directly of the identification, and there isn't more kind of murkiness than can be cleared through kind of psychological or emotional or energetic work.
Hmm. So you're talking of a more 100% recognition of what, because of what
Of what
of
you're
this
not,
or what you're not.
not of what you
Because
are, of what you're not. Yeah,
I feel I have glimpses. Oh yeah, I'm not all this. I'm not the body. I'm not. And then there's like gradual bounce back, and I'm believing it again. So it's not. But you're talking of the like 100%. I'm 100% certain of this.
yeah, yeah. And so it's exactly that. Yes, it's to be absolutely convinced, but not convinced through experience, through seeing, through knowing directly that you are not that. And so whenever you get pulled back into that belief, you can look at it. And so that's why I was saying when you get these kind of spells of irritation, instead of the approach that you've done so far, which has been working on the psychological, energetic, emotional aspect of that, which has helped, that helps us get to a point where we're not just in a crazy storm where it's impossible to look at anything. So we get stabilized. So now when it comes up, you can look at what's really happening. And there to look at the belief. What am I? And it starts to become surgical. To start to see these are thoughts of an entity called Julian, and you can start to get really, really surgical and subtle in the looking, until something can happen where you can see how in those moments you are choosing that. The identification is, choice is the best word. It's like there's a doing in a sense.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess it's an exploration, like you're saying, because I don't get how the irritation or the feeling really uncomfortable is related to believing I'm a separate entity.
Yeah, so at that point, yes, if that's your experience, the work I would suggest is the exploration that might be true. And so when the irritation appears, look at that possibility,
Hmm.
because it's very directed. It's very related to, yeah, I'm in this kind of thing. There's always room for error, but I'm pretty certain that's what's happening for you.
Hmm. Okay, it's been
Right.
useful to b trust in what you say in the past, so I'll
Yeah,
do it again.
that's good.